what about the South African movie that you did, Disco Scut?
Disco Scut.
Yes.
What actually happened was I was in Los Angeles. I was based there. I was there for a couple of months, and then a friend of mine who I'd done a short film with, I don't know, 6 years ago, picked up the phone and said, "I'm doing a feature. I want you for the lead. Will you fly back to South Africa to do this movie?" And so I came back to South Africa. We shot that movie. Brandon Orette was in it, playing my best friend. The movie is coming out next year, which I'm really, really excited about internationally. So that's going to be really, really cool. No, that's Last Broken Darkness.
Okay.
So that's coming out next year. And then after I finished shooting that, they were shooting another movie here called Disco Scut. And then my agent said, "Would you like to audition for it?" You know, it's also only 1 day's work. You're playing like books, and there's like 3 lines of dialogue, whatever. But and no, sorry, I'm talking about something. There was another Afrikaans movie that did called Jimmy in Pink.
Okay.
Jimmy in Pink. That was Bucks.
Okay.
And Disco Scut was obviously Annemat van der Merwe and Dion Lutz and some really, really amazing actors. And that I was very, very excited to audition for. But also at the same time, the casting director was, "But maar kan jy Afrikaans praat?"
Did he ask you that?
Yes.
It's funny. It's this perception. I think because of the past 2 decades, because I've done mainly international things, people don't really regard me as a South African actor, or even know that I'm a South African actor.
Right.
Because I've been playing.
Good and bad.
It is good, because I've mainly been playing Americans or Brits or Russians or whatever.
Yes.
So Disco Scut was lots of fun. And
you spoke Afrikaans?
I was Afrikaans. I was playing a little bit of a psychopath in that as well. But it was very, very funny. It's a small part in the movie, but it was really, 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 really funny. And Annemat van der Merwe obviously is amazing.
And tell me about some of the other stuff that you've been doing. Shooter, you did that with Ryan Felipe and Omar Epps. That's crazy, man.
I mean, Shooter, it was one of those
series, right?
It's a new TV series that's currently screening on Netflix. That I was very, very excited to audition for. Russian character.
You had to learn Russian, I understand.
Well, I mean, initially, once again, for the audition, they said, "Cool, this is a character we're probably going to see in 1 or 2 episodes. It's a Russian character. You might have to learn Russian for it at some point." And so what I did for my audition for that, I actually then changed one of the lines of dialogue to Russian, which I sort of went to Google Translate, okay, and then went into the audition. But it was so embarrassing because what happened was I went into the audition and did the audition, and the casting director was sort of really impressed with what I did, and then I got a callback, actually for a different role. Went in to do the callback, and the callback was just with the casting director who was reading opposite me, and then one of the producers. But then when we did the callback scene, and they went action, and we did the scene, I had also changed 1 or 2 of the lines into Russian. And what happened during that moment, the casting director was like looking at me, and I could see in his eyes, he was like, "Oh my God, what is this guy doing? Did he skip the line? Is he working off? Is he doing a different scene?" And I felt so bad. But anyway, I then I said thanks very much, and they said, "Great job," and then I never heard anything for about a month, and then I knew they were about to start shooting, and then I was like, let me jump in the plane, let me come to Cape Town for a couple of weeks and sort of recoup and then ironically, I was back in Cape Town for about 2.5 weeks, and then I got an email from agent going, "They've changed their mind, they want you.
Oh, wow.
They've now decided to make the role bigger. Can you fly back like 2 days earlier?"
This was
for Shooter.
Oh, wow.
And so then I flew back to Los Angeles. I literally arrived that evening, went straight into costume fitting. The following morning, 4 o'clock, was in a car driving out of Santa Clarita, and then walked onto set and walked straight into doing a scene with Tom Sizemore. And that was amazing. I mean, Tom Sizemore was also a legend in the industry. But the funny thing is I was so jet lagged. I didn't think that I'd be jet lagged, but I was.
Yeah.
And in the scene, the director sort of come to me and he was like, "Okay, Sean, so whenever Tom sort of comes to you, because you're playing his boss, just smile. Just smile in his face and be very arrogant." But he sort of told this to me sort of privately.
Right.
So then I'll be doing this scene with Tom Sizemore, and then Tom will go, "What do you want? What's the problem? I'm doing the best." And I go, "Yes, of course you are. Of course you are doing your best, but I want him dead now. And I was like smiling, and Tom was like looking at me. He was like, "Who is this arrogant prick?" Was he, laughing at me the whole time?
Yeah.
And so that actually just made him more angry, which worked for the scene. But then afterwards, I went to Tom and I was like, "You do know that I'm a big fan of yours, and you do know that the director told me to be smiling in your face the whole time." But the whole thing was really, such a surreal experience because I was like sort of jet lagged. And then I was really, really fortunate that they then ended up making the role a lot bigger. Throughout the series. It's currently screening on Netflix and obviously on the USA network in the States, and that was one produced by Mark Wahlberg, and also Ryan Felipe is one of the producers on that. So
and lastly, Blood Drive. That you have just wrapped finishing that.
Yeah, well, what had actually happened was because I'd been working on Shooter, one of the exec producers on that, it was one of the sort of typical things that happens in Hollywood that you kind of only hear of, but when they sort of come to you've been shooting for 14 hours and they give you a new script, and they go, "We need to shoot this new scene in like 3 minutes. Will you be able to do it?" And I was like, "Sure, let me just have a cigarette and a cup of coffee, and then let's go for it." And so because they'd sort of thrown me as like sort of last minute, I was and I did it, and then they came to me and they were like, "We're really impressed that you were able to do that and actually do a good job at it." And so the ultimately, as I say, ended up making the role a lot bigger. And then the same producer on that show had just sent sort of a team to Cape Town to now to start shooting this new series for Sci-Fi called Blood Drive. And then a role opened up in that, and then the sort of producer picked up the phone to me and said, "Do you feel like flying to Cape Town for 4 months and doing a?" And so that was really, really exciting for me because you kind of sort of set these sort of goals for yourself, and like one of my sort of newer goals was I wanted to work on an American show shooting in South Africa, but at the same time playing an American character, and so what Blood Drives now was now that my first sort of playing an American character. Black Sail was British, and Shooter was a Russian thing, which was also intense and crazy.
That's awesome, man. Sean Cameron, Michael, thank you, sir.
Oh, man.
And next time I'll have to probably go through your agent to get hold of you, man, because you like.
Oh, we would just like fly you over to the States. You can be like my publicist, and we'll like hang.
We'll hang. Sean, you're a legend, brother. Well done on what you're doing, and I'm very proud of you, man. I'm following your career, and it's just amazing. And I'm gonna go check out Shooter. It looks good.
Thanks so much, man.
Thank you so much. Another episode of Talking Point with Stephen Taylor, chatting to the legend, Mr. Sean Cameron Michael. Go follow him on social media. What is your social media, by the way?
Twitter, Sean C. Michael, and Instagram, I think it's also Sean C. Michael, and Facebook, Sean C. Michael.
Great.
That's pretty easy.
Not that hard.
Yeah.
I'll catch you next week, same time, same place. God bless. Bye-bye.